Om Namo Narayanaaya. Om Namo Narayanaaya.
Asmat Guru Bhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Guru Bhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Guru Bhyo Namaha. So we're continuing on with Thomas Aquinas, Sanskrit Made Easy, and we are looking at chapter 15. Chapter 15, a summary of the contents of chapter 15. We are going to look at the Sandhi rule for final M, when makara comes at the end of a word and is followed by any other word. And then we, as far as grammar is concerned, we're going to look at more verbal prefixes. Previously in chapter 14, we looked at some what are called upasargas, verbal prefixes. Now we're going to also look at some verbs, and we're going to see the middle endings, which are atmanepada endings for the imperfect tense. Previously in chapter 14, we did the imperfect tense, which is a past tense. And then we're going to have some more verbs coming in the vocabulary. So in the as far as the Sandhi rule of final M is concerned, if the first word ends in an M, in a final M, not ma, but M, the M comes at the end of the first word, then there are only two rules. A, if the next word begins with a consonant, the M becomes anuswara. That's M with a dot either underneath it or on top of it, depending on whether you're using IAST or ISO transliteration, and is pronounced and could be written as the nasal corresponding to the first letter of the next word. So as we know in the Sanskrit alphabet, just to recap, there are these 5 vargas or different groups of consonants: the gutturals, the palatals, the cerebrals, the dentals, and the labials. And there's a corresponding nasal at the for each of these: nga, nya, ra, na, and ma. So when we get ma at m at the end of the first word, and it's followed by a consonant beginning the next word, that m at the end of the first word turns into anuswara, and that anuswara can then be pronounced as the nasal of the family of the varga of the letter that starts the next word. So he's giving an example here. So we have the word putram, we have the sentence putram gachati. So putram ending in an M, followed by gachati, right? The G is actually a guttural letter, ka ka ga ga nga, right? Nga. So it is therefore turned into anuswar. So putram gachati becomes putram with a anuswar at the end, gachami, right? In this case, the anuswara can be pronounced like a guttural nasal. So it will be pronounced putrang gachami. Okay, that's the first rule. And the second rule is obviously if the next word begins with a vowel, or the M is at the end of a line. What do we mean by the end of the line? When there's a dunda or double dunda, a comma or a full stop period coming after the M, then the M remains the same. So at the end of a half verse or the end of a full verse in a sloka form, the M will just remain the same. So the M remains the same because the mouth is not prepared to close at a specific point of contact as it would if the next word began with a consonant. For example, here's an example. So we have, again, putram followed by agachami, right? Agachami starts with A, long A, right? So putram agachami. So we see the two words in the Devanagari at the top separated by a plus sign. And when we do the Sandhi, we put them together, and it just simply looks like one word, but it's actually two words, and it is putram agachami. And the initial form of the A turns into a medial form of the A, right? When we put the two together. Okay. So that's a very, very simple rule. All you really have to remember is that M, when it's followed in the next word by a consonant, or turns into Anuswara. And in any other case, followed by a vowel or at the end of a line or before a dunda or a double dunda, before any Sanskrit punctuation, it just stays the same, remains the same. Okay, so the next part of grammar is we're going to talk about some more upasargas or verbal prefixes. Verbal prefixes, once again, we have the verb root, which is turned into the verbal stem before we add the endings to it. Whatever case, whatever number or whatever tense or mood the verb is going to be put in has certain endings. So they are added to the stem, which is created out of the root. What the verbal prefix is something that precedes the root, right? Precedes the root. So for instance, we have the word gachati, which means to go. And if we put a in front of it, it becomes agachati, it means to come, right? So that is a prefix. So here we have different prefixes. So these prefixes are going to go before the stem of the verb, and then the endings are going to be added for different tenses and moods. So some prefixes hardly change the meaning of the original stem, while others change the meaning. So sometimes the prefix doesn't change the meaning, and sometimes it does. So we have ud, which means up or up and out. Utishtati, he stands up. So for instance, we had the verb before, tishtati. Tishtati is third person singular present tense of the verb tisht. The stem is tisht, right? So if we add ud to it, by Sandhi, the ud becomes ut. So we get uttisthati. So utishtati. Utishtati means he stands up. So instead of just standing, he's standing up. So the D changes to a T by Sandhi. So then we have udbhavati. Here, bhavati comes from the verb bu, to be. We know two verbs for bu. We know bu and as, which mean to be, right? So ud plus bhavati, which is the third person singular present tense of bu. Bu, bhav is the stem. Bu is the root. Bhav is the stem. We add T to it, it becomes bhavati. He is. If we say udbhav, right? We're adding the meaning up. We're adding the meaning up. So he is up means it actually changes the verb to meaning he is born. He comes up, right? He is born. He is born. Okay, so then we have ava. So the first one is ud. The second one is ava. So if we add ava, for instance, our favorite verb gachati, the first one that we learned, to go. So ava means down. So ud means up or up and out, right? Ava means down or away or off, right? So if we had ava to gachati, gachati already means to go. Gachati means he goes. It's again third person singular present tense, right? Active endings, right? So ava gachati means he goes down or he understands. It can also mean he understands. So it makes sense if ava means down or away or off, he goes off or he goes away or he goes down, right? But there's another meaning here, and it means he understands. To understand this meaning, to find out this meaning, we probably have to look in a dictionary, or we'd have to know how this prefix affects the verb. Okay. All right. So now here's a list of some of the major prefixes or upasargas given in Panini, Panini 1458. So there's some Panini sutras which give the list of, I believe there's 27 upasargas, or there's a bunch of upasargas in Sanskrit, and they sometimes change the meaning of the verb, sometimes they don't. Prefixes can also be used in front of nouns. Okay, so that's interesting. So that we should keep in. Up until now, we've been using these upasargas or prefixes only in front of verbs and to change the meaning of verbs. But what he's saying here is these prefixes can also be put in front of nouns and they can change the meaning of nouns. So the first one is ati. Ati gives a sense of across, beyond, surpassing, past. Atindriya, for example. The indriya means the senses, right? The sense organs or senses. So ati indriya by dirgha sandhi, or the two eyes, the eye at the end of ati and the eye at the beginning of indriya come together and it makes atindriya. Atindriya means beyond the senses. So we have also atyanta. So ati plus anta, the word anta means end. So atyanta by sandhi, the I turns into a Y before anta, right? So ati, A-T-I, A-N-T-A becomes A-T-Y, A-N-T-A. And it means beyond the end, or beyond, or infinite, having no end. We have another example here, adi. Adi means above, or gives a sense of above or over or on. Adhyatma. Adhyatma is obviously made of atma. The word atma means the self. Sometimes it can mean the supreme self. Sometimes it can mean the individual self, right? In this case, pertaining to the self, right? Right. Pertaining to the self is adhyatma. Adhyatma. So adi, atma, again, that sandhi, the I changes to the semivowel Y in front of the long A, right? In front of the vowel. Right? So adhyatma means pertaining to the self. So adi vishva. Vishva means the universe. If adi vishva, we just add it together. There's no change in the prefix because of sandhi. We can just put it all together. Adi vishva. So adi vishva means above all, or responsible for the universe. So, or above the or over the universe, let's say. Anu. The word swara means sound. So anuswara means an after sound. So remember, we have anuswara means that there's some sort of sound. Then we have apa, apana. So apa and ana, apana. Apana is out of the different life airs. Prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana are the 5 major life airs. There's 5 other life airs also. Krikara, Dhananjaya, whatever. But anyway, apana means the downward breath, or the elimination, or the exhalation, right? Okay, so then we have api. Api meaning on or close on. So api hita means placed into, placed close by, right? Api hita. Abi. We have the word anga. Anga means a limb. So abhyanga, it might be abhyanga shnana, where we rub the body with oil, or rub the body with mud, or some other item like that. It's a type of bath, right? So abhyanga. So again, we have the sandhi, the I and abi, followed by another vowel turns into the semivowel Y. Abhyanga, rubbing against. Okay, so then we have ava. Ava gives a sense of down or away or off, right? So tara means to cross over, like we have the word mantra or trayate, meaning to cross over in mantra, right? So tara means to cross over, right? So to cross, or to so avatara means crossing down. So because ava means down, so avatara, descending or crossing down. Right. Then we have the long A. We've already come across this. Long A is an upasarga or prefix, meaning back or return. Remember agachati, right? So gachati means to go, agachati means to come. So it means back or return, or to, or fully. This is the meaning. So chara means would mean something. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, achara means to go toward. Chara might also mean like chala, means to go. So achara means to go towards, or it also means conduct. Achara. So then we have acharya, teacher of conduct, right? So these nouns have nouns and and words have the letter R, long letter R, as an upasarga prefix. So now we have the one that we talked about, some of the ones that we talked about before. Ud meaning up or up and out. Udana. So before we had apana, meaning the outward breath or the exhalation. Udana meaning the upward breath, or it could mean the inhalation. So udana. So prana, apana, dhyana, udana, samana, like that. These are the five main life airs. So ud and udana instead of apana, like that. So upa is the next one. So we have the word Upanishad. So means to sit near. So upa and ni and siddhati. So we have sad means to sit. Sit near is so upa ni means to sit near. So upa. Upanishad is a text of the Vedas which deals with philosophy. You have to sit close to the teacher to hear it. So it literally means what you hear when you sit close to the teacher. Upanishad, right? Sit down near, right? So upa meaning towards, near, or subordinate. Upasarga, discharged near. It's the prefix, right? Discharged, upasarga. Sarga usually means creation. So upasarga meaning towards creation or near creation, subordinate to creation. Discharged near is what he says it means. Okay, dush meaning bad or ill or difficult or hard. So krita meaning something something which is done, or an act, or like an activity, right? So dushkrita is bad activity, so badly done here, right? So do come. Dush becomes do in front of come, like that. So do come, right? Suffering. Usually this dush is a upasarga, and he says this one is usually not used with verbs, but it's used with nouns. Okay, so then we have ni. Ni is also in Upanishad, right? So it means down or into, like that. We can note here that Upanishad seems to have two upasargas. It has a prefix and another prefix. Upa is the first prefix, ni is the second prefix, and then shad comes from siddhati, to sit, like that. So Upanishad. Okay. So then we have nish. Nish gives a sense of out from, forth, without, entirely. Nish trigunya. Trigunya is also made up of things without the three gunas, or beyond the three modes of material nature. So gunya, it means the guna. Guna can mean rope, or it can also mean a mode of nature, like that, a quality of nature. So beyond those three qualities, what are the qualities? Goodness, passion, ignorance. These are the three qualities: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Okay, so nishtray gunya means beyond those or without those, right? So try is coming from tree, which is the Sanskrit for three. So beyond the three gunas, we can say nishgunya, without the try, and we can say without qualities, nishgunya, right? Or nirguna, right? But here he said nish trigunya. So nish is the prefix, meaning out from, forth, or without, or entirely, right? So without the three modes. So para means away, or forth, or off, or along, right? So para shara means crusher. So then we have pari means around. And so we have parikrama, for example. Krama means to walk. Parikrama means to walk around something, usually clockwise. But it could mean, so we don't know. Anyway, so parikrama. So here he says parinama, so it means transformation. So people who believe that the world is a real transformation of Brahman they are called parinamavad. That's called parinamavad. So here we have pra. Pra is an upasarga, meaning giving the sense of forward, onward, or forth, right? So we have, for instance, prana. Prana is also a type of vital breath, one of the five life airs. And prakriti. Kriti means doing, and so prakriti means that which is done, and that which continues to be done, or goes forward, or or evolves into different things. Prakriti evolves, meaning going forward into another form like that. So prakriti, that's literally what the word means. So now we have prati. Prati means back to or in the reverse direction or every. It could mean every. So pratyahara, pratyahara. So ahara could be food. So prati plus ahara, the I changes to a semivowel Y in front of the vowel which is the Sandhi rule, and therefore it becomes pratyahara, food from the reverse direction. I'm not sure if pratyahara means food from the reverse direction. He says that's what it means. It has another meaning. We could look it up in the dictionary, but pratyahara means something else as well. So V is another upasarga. It means apart or away or out. So we have, again, the 5 life airs. We have anas, they're all anas, but we have vyana. Vyana is the air of circulation, moving breath, right? Then we have some. Some, of course, we know many words that use some kirtana, some yoga, some Sanskrita, he says here. So it's samana. Samana, his favorite thing is to show the different life airs. So here we have another life air called samana. Some means together. So for instance, some kirtana, which is done together with other people, or chanting of the names, holy names done together with other people, is some kirtana, right? So samana, meaning even breath or digestion, right? Samana is the fire of digestion, or the air of digestion. Samskrita, which means perfected or put together. Krita meaning to do something or to put something, right? To make something, and to make it together. Make something together, put it all together properly, is perfecting it. So put together, Samskrita. So the word Sanskrit or Samskrita in Sanskrit is put together perfectly. So then we have su, like dus. Su is the opposite of dus. So su can be good, well, right, very easy, right? Sukrita, well done, right? Again, we have that krita. Sukrita instead of samkrita, samskrita, or we notice, interestingly enough, in Samskrita that the S comes in there after as a type of Sandhi. I'm not sure why. But anyway, it becomes Samskrita. But anyway, in Su, we have Sukrita, well done. Sukham, happiness, as opposed to Dus and Kam, Dukam, which means unhappiness. And usually Su is used with nouns and not with verbs. So that's interesting. So that's all about upasargas. Now, let's have a look at the third part of the grammar here, which is the imperfect tense. But up until now, we've only seen the active endings, and now we're going to see the middle endings of the past tense, which is the imperfect tense is a past tense. There are other past tenses also, the perfect and some other tenses, but the first one we're learning is the imperfect tense. So we have the verb to speak, which is bhash, right? There are other verbs to speak, but this is the verb. This is a middle ending verb, right? So for instance, if we said vach, we would use active endings. We would say vachati, vachataha, vachanti, like that in the present tense, to speak. But bhash takes the middle endings. So bashyate, bashyete, bashante, bashyase, bashyate, bajete, bajadwe, baje, bajawahe, bajamahe is the imperfect, right? Now, if is the imperfect present tense. Now, when we make it into from the present tense into the past tense, the imperfect, right? Then we add an a in the front of the like a prefix to the word. So we have abashat, abashetam, abashanta, abashataha, abashatam, abashadvam, abashe, abashavahi, abashamahi, right? And this is how you conjugate bhash to speak with imperfect middle endings, not active endings. Okay, so note that the endings are given on page 317. Compare the imperfect endings to the present with the present indicative endings. So these are the present, which I just mentioned: bashite, bashete, bashante, bashise, bashete, bashadwe, bashe, bashawahe, bashamahe. And of course, that is the what we call the middle endings or atmanepada endings of the verb bash. Present tense, present indicative. Yeah, present tense. And now we come to the vocabulary. So let's go through the vocabulary quickly. We have Sanskrit. Ava is an upasarga or a prefix, along with gum, which is the root of gach, is the stem, meaning to go, right? Which is usually used with active endings, right? So we have gachati usually, but now we have avagachati. Avagachati means he understands. So it actually changes the meaning of the word quite a lot. So up until now we had gach, or gachati, meaning he goes. Agachati means he comes, but here we have avagachati, means he understands. So now we have ud is the prefix, bhu, bhavati, bhu or bhav, which is the stem from the root bhu, right? To be, right? So ud bhu, and remember ud means up or out, right? So when he comes out from the mother's body, or when he comes up, stands up for the first time, is brought up, is lifted up for the first time, it means like he's born. So that has the meaning of being born. So udbhavati means he is born. And this is also active endings. Right. So now we have star. Remember, star is the root of tisht. Tisht is the stem, and it means to stand. Right. If we add the prefix or upasarga ud to it, which means up, it means he stands up. So ud star becomes uttishtati. He stands up. Then we have ram. Ram has middle endings. Ram means to enjoy, right? Ramyate. It takes middle endings, atmanepada endings. So ramyate, ramate, he enjoys. Ramate, he enjoys. Okay, so that's just in the present tense. It would be aramat if it was in the imperfects like that. So we have now shub becomes the u in shub by application of guna. We get shob, which is the shub is the root, shob is the stem, and we add te to it because it takes middle endings. We get the third person singular present tense. Middle ending, he shines, shobate. So sme is the root from which we get smar. From shmi we get sma, and we get smayate. Smayate, he smiles. So gerund forms, or past participles, right, of each of these verbs is listed in the back of the text, pages 312 to 314. So we can look up all of these verbs. We can have the gerund forms. Just remember the gerund forms either end in the ending tva or end in ya, like that, and they give the meaning of having done something. And that is the end of lesson 15.
Om Namo